That is catchy as hell. That is Where the Sidewalk Ends from Jonny Couch, and we have him on the line with us via Restream. Jonny, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. Welcome to the show, my friend. It's great to have you on. I've been excited about this because I listened to the whole album via the SoundCloud link that we received,
Great.
and really good. But I love that track. I love the bass line in that. I love the groove. I love everything about it. Just so catchy. Kind of reminds me of Brian Ferry, Roxy Music.
Great.
Just really, really good. Where are you from, by the way?
I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, okay.
But I've been a New Yorker for about 20 years now. So
Okay. Did you pick? I'm trying to detect it. Did you pick up the accent at all? Because obviously, a couple decades. I mean, is that something do you learn to talk like a New Yorker, or do you still feel that you sound like you're from Cleveland?
No, I don't really have the accent at all. It's just something I start using if I say I've been a New Yorker. But no, I don't really have the accent.
Gotcha. I want to know more, of course, about not only the album but the single Where the Sidewalk Ends. I know the album comes out July 24th. Is that correct?
That's correct. It comes out this coming Friday.
This Friday,
July 24th. That is correct.
Outstanding. Obviously, when I hear that phrase "Where the Sidewalk Ends," my first thought was when I was a kid, I had the Shel Silverstein book of poetry, and for some reason, the cover of that book too. It always sticks very vividly in my mind. But tell me about the inspiration for that, for the song and for the album, and why you decided to call it "Where the Sidewalk Ends."
Well, it's funny. I am a big Shel Silverstein fan. I mean, Shel Silverstein is just brilliant in my opinion, and all of his work. But the funny thing is, I was writing this song, and I am a big fan of film noir, 50s kind of film noir detective movies, and also even later period when it went into color, they called it neo-noir movies like Chinatown or Body Heat, and all of those types of film noir, neo-noir types of movies. And so I was writing this song, and I was looking for some inspiration, and I was in the middle of writing it, and I did actually come upon a movie called Where the Sidewalk Ends, and I watched it. Because I watch these movies sometimes. I'll just randomly watch a 1950s movie, and this movie's from 1950, and it's called Where the Sidewalk Ends. It predates the Shel Silverstein work.
Oh,
and I really loved it, and then I went back to working on this song, and I thought, you know what, that would actually be a good title for this song. And so then I started to incorporate that into it, and it just all kind of fell into place, and I put the pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, together as I was, once I had that song title, I kind of wrote the rest of the lyrics from there.
Yeah. No, it's really good. I'm curious on the album. So what do you do on the album? And I mean, is it all you, or do you have other musicians on there with you? Or because I know you started out as a drummer, right, in the New York City scene?
That's right. I was a drummer for many, many years in the New York scene in some bands that were touring.
Yeah.
And I had a punk band called The Choke. And so, yeah, so I do play drums on all my records. So on the record, what you're hearing on that track, for instance, is I'm playing all the drums. I'm playing a lot of the keyboard, not all of it, actually, because usually on the songs I record, I'll play the drums, I'll play the keyboards, and then I'll have a producer or someone I'm working with will play bass and guitar. And on this track is actually, there's a few people on it. It's me, it's this producer in Texas, and it's this other friend of ours that played some percussion. So the producer in Texas, Jonas Wilson, he's the one that played that slamming bass line that you hear on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he just really put together this great bass line while we were tracking it. And then all of a sudden it took on a whole new life once he put that bass line down. And I did the drums and the keyboards. And then he added more keyboards. and then we turned it into like this whole kind of like 1970s Giorgio Moroder inspired kind of piece, because we added these swirling synclaviers that you can hear in the synthesizers that you can hear in the chorus.
Yeah.
And a lot like what you might hear in like a song that Giorgio Moroder did with Donna Summer.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a bass player myself, so my ear tends to be drawn to that. But I'm sorry, what did you say his name was again? The producer?
So his name is Jonas Wilson.
Jonas Wilson, gotcha.
And he's brilliant. He actually toured with a lot of bands. He toured with the Heartless Bastards for a few years, and he's toured with Alejandro Escovedo, who's a really well-known musician. And he has many years as a touring musician, but also as a producer and engineer. And he was just a great collaborator for this track. He did the guitars, the bass, some extra synths. I brought in my original demo with the synthesizers and drum machine. And then the first thing we did is we recorded the drums. I played real drums on it. And then we kept a lot of my synths from the demo. We added more, and then he played some bass and guitar. And then we had a friend come in and play tambourine.
Now, I'm curious, how did you come to work with him? Because obviously where you are in New York, you're surrounded by so much incredible talent. I mean, that's really I guess what is the musical capital of the country would depend on who you ask. Some would say Nashville, but obviously where you are, right, in New York, I mean, I would consider that the music capital of the country in terms of the how much talent is there. So how did you come to work with someone in Texas?
That's a great question. So I have this other great producer. His name's Peter Mavrogeorgis, and he's also a great producer. And he and I did some shows. We took the Johnny Couch Band show on the road, and we did some shows in Texas. We played Denton, we played Fort Worth, we played Austin, and at the Austin show, we ended up being recommended to Jonas Wilson came recommended to us as a keyboard player, as a synth player. And so he joined us on the show in Austin, and we met him there, and he was just this great guy, and we had a great time with him. And then I just kept in touch with him, over the years, because that gig in Austin was in 2019. And so I kept in touch with them, and then eventually I said, hey, we should do a couple tracks together. And so I ended up doing 4 tracks with him that are on this upcoming album, 4 songs that are with Jonas.
Okay.
And Where the Sidewalk Ends is obviously the main one, because that's the title track, single release. But yeah, just kept in touch with him, and he added that incredible bass line, and then the whole song took on this life of its own in the studio, and we started adding more and more ingredients, and it was a lot of fun putting it together.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. It's a fun, like I said, I listened to the whole thing on SoundCloud. It's a fun album. So now the 4 tracks that Jonas Wilson is not on, are those done with the other producer that you mentioned?
Yeah, so it's actually quite a number of producers, because the producer that I did my last record with, Peter Mavrogeorgis, he's fantastic. He lives in Georgia now, and I did 2 records with him, but it's hard for me to always go down to Georgia. So what we did was and I have some friends here locally in Jersey City that I also work with. So this record is actually 4 tracks are produced by Jonas down in Texas. Two of the tracks are with Peter, my buddy in Georgia. And then there's 4 other tracks, 2 of them with a producer here in Jersey City, and the other 2 with a producer also here in Jersey City, but with a studio in Hoboken. So the songs were recorded in basically Hoboken, Jersey City, Atlanta, and Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, there's 4 producers on this record.
Wow.
which is not the way I usually do things, but it just kind of worked out that way. A few of the songs were released as singles first, digitally.
Yeah.
But I wanted to include them on the vinyl release, so it's kind of like a greatest hits of like a few songs I released plus 7 brand new tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about it.
Your first solo album, Mystery Man, which was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, that was that also with multiple producers, or did you have a different approach with that one?
Right. So my first solo album was actually 2016, although well, it's called Animal Instinct, and it's also online, but it's actually an EP. So that maybe that's why it's probably not showing up as a full album.
Gotcha. Okay.
So online, it's an EP because it's a 5-song, but I did release it as a 5-song, 12-inch vinyl release, and
excellent.
It's 5 songs. Animal Instinct is the lead track. That was produced by Peter Mavrogeorgis, all in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
Then we followed that up with Mystery Man, which is released at the end of 2019. That was a 10-song release, also on 12-inch vinyl. Full album, 10 songs, also produced by Peter Mavrogeorgis in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
At Dollhouse Productions, and then he moved to Atlanta, and then we did, like I said, we did 2 songs on the new record with Peter, 4 with Jonas in Texas, and 2 with a couple more producers. Actually, Overwhelmed is produced by this guy, John Chin, who lives here in Jersey City.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, when you're doing an album that way, because obviously that's not how you did your previous work, did it ever concern you at all? Like, did you ever think, what if, having all these different producers, what if it's not, the final work doesn't seem cohesive? What if it doesn't all sound like it goes together? I mean, not that. I mean, for me as a listener, like I said, I listened to the whole thing on the SoundCloud link that was sent to us, and that isn't available publicly yet, obviously. And to me, it sounds like one. Like I wouldn't be able to tell. Like it sounds like one cohesive work. But I'm curious if, as you're making the album, was that ever a concern for you, or were you not worried about that part of it? That maybe with all these different people involved, it might sound, like it's going in too many directions.
It was not a concern, and I'll tell you why. It's because at one point I did this one track with one of the producers here, and his name's, as I mentioned, John Chin. And we did we did a song. There's a song that's not on the record. It's called "Found Out You're a Zombie."
Yeah.
And it was played. It's actually been played on Sirius XM. Peter Zaremba from the Flesh Tones. He's played it on his show on Sirius XM.
Oh.
And because he likes to play scary, spooky, Halloween-y kind of songs, and it's called "Found Out You're a Zombie." So, anyways, I did this song just kind of as a joke. And we did it kind of as a joke for Halloween because he's an old buddy I went to college with, and he was in town, and he said, "Hey," I said, "Hey, man, could I do a song with you?" And we recorded it, and it ended up being great, and everyone loves it, and there's a lot of people, it's their favorite song to hear live. And it's crazy because it sounded so great that from that moment on, I wasn't worried at all about putting the record together, with a combination of him, Peter, Jonas, and then there's a 4th producer, Dan Haig, who's also fantastic. But we actually had John Chin mix and mix those recordings. So, so John was kind of, I had a good enough team that I wasn't worried about any of that.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And what transpired between, because obviously it's 7 years between Mystery Man and Where the Sidewalk Ends. Did you intend it for it to be that long? I mean, you know, as we get older, we kind of start to realize that time passes quicker than we know.
Yeah, I mean, you could say 7 years, but to me it feels like it almost like COVID was in there, and that made it really hard to accomplish things. But because you couldn't really collaborate as much with people. I guess I could have done some records during COVID where but I like to get together with people and stuff. So, anyways, I did do a side project during COVID with a guy called Greaser Phase. And so that was kind of a record we produced more that way, where we'd set tracks back and forth. We didn't actually get get together in person. We just sent things back and forth and did a record that way. But no, to answer your question, I didn't intend for it to be so long between releases. It kind of like, the music industry's changed so much that artists aren't really expected to release full albums so much anymore. Mm-hmm. And so what I was doing instead was I was just releasing a single here and there once in a while. Yeah. I was keeping my music out there, and then I'd release a new single, and then I'd release a new single, and then I was keeping active and keeping myself out there that way, and not even really thinking about that. But enough time passed that I thought, you know what, I need to put out another full length. And, and I believe there's a little bit more time than I wanted to pass between the two.
It's interesting how even now in 2026, how much COVID still comes up on the show, and how the interruption and the disruption that it created, that it caused in the careers of so many people, and not only that, but also this weird sort of time distortion thing. It's
I mean, the upsetting thing about COVID was I put out Mystery Man, and I was able to promote it a little bit, mm-hmm. And then when I would have really done an even harder push, then it was lockdown, and I wasn't able to push it as hard with tour dates and stuff. So that's why I'm excited about this new record. I'm doing a bunch of stuff now to promote this and some touring. So it's a little bit better of a situation. I'll be able to push it harder.
Absolutely. So when you were playing drums in 20 years ago in New York in punk bands, did you always kind of was it always your goal to become eventually a solo artist and do what you're doing now? Or if you kind of go back in time and think about yourself back then, would you have foreseen all of this? Or did you think at the time, this is, I'm a drummer, I play in a punk band, and I'm in the moment, and this is it. I mean, was this always a goal for you to get to this point?
No. And, I wish that it was, actually, because it would have been cool to start this solo career and the earlier on.
Yeah.
It would have been interesting to do that. But I was really into being a drummer. That was my vibe. That was my identity. I was really into it. And so... at the time, I was really into being a songwriter, because I ended up being in a band with a buddy of mine, Eric, and we had a couple of other great people in that band. It was called The Choke.
Yeah.
And we ended up co-writing most of the material. So it became important to me to be a songwriter, even more than the frontman at that point. I was co-writing all the songs and playing drums, and even kind of managing a lot of that band and do the day-to-day and the booking. And then I ended up doing that even in another band after The Choke. I ended up co-writing a ton of material. And so it just became important to me to be a songwriter. But then I kind of finally realized later on that I wanted to sing these songs.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, of course. I'm curious too about the album artwork. It says here it was created by, and forgive me, I'm not familiar, but New York artist Ann Munches. Am I saying that correctly?
I think it's pronounced Munchies.
Munchies. Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess she's a big deal, right? From what I've read.
Yeah, she's very accomplished because she's an artist that's had work featured in some kind of iconic books about women in rock.
Okay.
At least there's one very well-known book, so she's had her work published, and she has also worked with music before. She's done work before with bands. This isn't really like public knowledge, but she I believe used to work with bands in Rochester and do like some posters for them, and used to do a lot of work with rock bands. And so when I found that out, I thought, oh, well, that's cool. And then when I saw some of her work for the Women in Rock book, and I saw her drawing of Tina Turner, and she had one of Sinead O'Connor, and she was already someone who was used to drawing rock artists and doing a great job of it, and the work I saw was incredible, and I thought, well, I'd be honored to have her draw me on this album cover, and so she did a wonderful job.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's excellent. And I'm also curious about the video for Where the Sidewalk Ends. This is pretty cool. I actually have it pulled up right now. I'm taking another look at it, but cool. looks like it's all outdoors. Where was this shot? This video?
So the director and I, Richard, were on the phone, and he said he said, where do you want to shoot this? And I said, I don't know, maybe Jersey City is kind of cool, and he said, nah, we need something a little bit more. I want something that looks a little bit more desolate, maybe just like empty kind of feeling. And I said, oh, we should do it in Red Hook, Brooklyn. It just looks like deserted all the time, And so then we met up for a beer in Red Hook at some great bar. I forget the name of it, but we went there twice.
Yeah.
And we did a whole brainstorming session of what the video should be and how it should capture the song and how it should capture the meaning of the song and all of that. And then since we were there, we went location scouting. And then while we were location scouting, we luckily came upon Sonny's Bar, which is a really famous bar in Red Hook. And then so then we were able to take part at the festivities at Sonny's. So that wasn't important for the video, but it was they have good alcohol there.
Gotcha. So yeah, I'm looking at the credits. Richard Jordan was the director, and then who's Alexander Saris? Am I saying that right? Is that's the name of the guy the other guy in the video?
Yeah. Oh, that's a funny story. That's a great story.
Yeah.
So Richard is this guy I met at a party, and he's just this great jovial guy, and he's so cool, and he ends up he's actually an actor as well as a casting director, but he's had these bit parts in shows like Vinyl that was on HBO, and then he was in this newer show, The Chair Company, I think it's called, on HBO or one of those channels.
Yeah.
And he gets these like small little parts, and but he's also a casting director, and I called him up and I was like, hey man, we need to do a video. And he said, oh, we should have someone in it. And so we wanted to get someone that was kind of like, a rocker like me, So and so what's funny is he put out a casting call and he sent me like 15 people. And I was looking at them and I was like, okay, well, none of these look quite right. They don't necessarily look like musicians that much and stuff. And then he sent me another actor, a profile of an actor that he found on Instagram, because he put up an Instagram post. And the guy, he sends it to me, and I say, oh, I know this guy. This is Alex. It was a guy that I'd met at a bar.
Oh, no kidding.
And I was like, I've met this guy, and I'd only met him once.
Yeah.
I'd only met him once, but I'd met him in the last 2 or 3 months recently.
Yeah.
And I met him once, and I said, "Oh, Richard, I know this guy, and this guy's cool. Let's just get this guy." And so that was how we got Alex.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then he showed up, and he was just all ready to go and excited and energetic, and he had swagger, and it was cool because the idea of the videos, well, I'm supposed to let people draw their own conclusion according to the director, but it's like it's almost like he's a former version of myself or something, and we're trying to or at least and we're trying to heal the relationship or whatever. I don't want to get too detailed because it's kind of open to interpretation, but
Sure, absolutely. No, I like the video a lot. I'm also curious too because you mentioned touring. How does all this work live? Because obviously on the album, everything's, there's a lot there. Everything's very layered and so forth. What do you do live? Do you have a band that plays with you? Do you do a?
Yeah.
Okay.
I always play with the live band because you know, you need to bring the music. You need to bring the music to life, you know, and you need to bring it, you know. And plus, I come from the rock world, from the punk. I was in, you know, loud punk bands and loud rock bands, and so I believe in putting on a loud rock show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always get a great band together. I've got a really wonderful band of musicians currently. This great guitar player that has been working with me for 10 years now. His name's Andy Black Sugar. And he's also for the last I think 4 years, played in Blondie.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, because and he's just this great great guitar player who he plays with me in the New York band.
Okay.
And then I also have a great drummer, John Weber. I have a couple drummers that I've used depending on who's available, but John Weber, Mike Manza, a few different people that have worked with me, and you know, I have this great new bass player Paul and this great keyboard player Arjun, and it's been really fantastic.
Is it hard to find the right players who can really replicate the sound that you're looking for, or has that been, again, you're in an area where, you know, you're surrounded by so much talent, so maybe it's not hard at all. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be, but I've been around for a long time, and some of these guys have been playing with me since the beginning, and so it usually falls into place.
Yeah.
For the most part, I've had really good luck with that, and I've also had a really good luck. Like, you know, the producers that I mentioned earlier have all been super helpful. So, for instance, Peter Maverick Georges, when I've gone and played down south, he's arranged to have, because he's a studio guy, he's arranged to have a band play with me down south when I've toured down there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have this great southern band. Same with Jonas in Texas. He's put together a band for me down in Texas that was the Texas band.
Yeah.
And we've done 2 shows down there. When I recorded down there, I played Texas a few times, in Austin. I've done Atlanta and Savannah. And I have this southern band that's going to be amazing for this UK tour, because it's like the 2 best producers I've ever worked with, Peter and Jonas from Texas, are coming with me to the UK. So I'm going to have Peter on guitar and Jonas on bass, and you couldn't ask for a better lineup. And then what's even better is I've got these two other individuals coming with me from the indie band Barrow. They live in Savannah. Their names are David and Veronica.
Okay.
And Veronica is the most amazing synth keyboard player and backing vocalist. And David is also in Barrow with her, and he's going to play drums on this tour. And so I've got a really solid lineup for the UK tour dates.
Oh, that's awesome. Good. When is that happening? When do you go to the UK?
Yeah, so my album release show is coming up this Friday in Brooklyn. It's at Sleepwalk, July 24th.
Yeah.
Early show at 7 p.m. And then I'm playing at the Wonder Bar in Asbury Park, which is next to Stone Pony, very famous venue, the Wonder Bar. That's August 3rd. And then is the UK tour. And the UK tour is August 11, 12, 13, and 16. And the shows are Nottingham, Hastings, London, and Brighton. And the London show's at the very famous venue, the Dublin Castle. And we're headlining that. It's going to be great.
Wow.
Kind of our London album release show, if you will.
Yep.
And so it's to answer your question, yes, August 11th through 16 are those dates.
Oh, that's fantastic. Have you toured there before?
I have, actually. I was in that punk band, The Choke, and we toured. We went to London once, and we did like 5 shows in the London area, I think, once, and 4 or 5 shows, similar to what we're doing now, although now we're touring around, so it's even better. But
yeah.
And then The Choke went back, and later on we went back and we did like a whole tour of the entire UK with a famous band called 2 famous bands. It was Theater of Hate and Gene Loves Jezebel.
Yep.
And The Choke. And it was like a really cool, solid touring lineup. And we played all over the UK We even played in Glasgow. That was a great tour.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Mm-hmm. Good. Well, yeah, no.
So I'm coming back to the UK, Matt.
Excellent. Well, we do have listeners. We do have listeners over there. Absolutely.
So, great.
Yeah.
Come out, Dublin Castle.
This show is multi-continental. I don't know if that's really a word, but
that's a word today. No, that's great. I'd say come out. We're playing great venues. Billy Bootleggers in Nottingham, the Jenny Lind Inn in Hastings, Dublin Castle in London, Dalton's in Brighton. These are great venues, great lineups. Everything's sorted as far as the venues, the lineups, the bands. It's really, really. I have a great artist. There's a great artist, songwriter in London named Veronica Bianchi, and she's playing on this bill with us at Dublin Castle. And I'm so excited because we actually did a show in Brooklyn in 2019 together in Brooklyn at this venue, the Broadway, and that was amazing. And now I get to play with her again in London. So
fantastic!
We're old friends, and she lives there now. So this is just super exciting. That the London show is super exciting.
Yeah. Oh, outstanding! Excellent. Well, in a moment, when we let you go, we're going to play "Overwhelmed," which was, of course, the first single awesome. from the album. Oh, and anything we should know about this before we play it, Jonny?
"Overwhelmed" is one heck of a cool track that I didn't it's actually really cool because Peter that's another it's another one that where the producers collaborated, because it was like my buddy John Shin and Jersey City here produced it, but we actually had Peter down in Georgia play the bass on it, and it's just a really cool, it's a different flavor for me because it's kind of a bouncy jangly track, and a lot of my songs tend to be more straight ahead rocking, straight ahead rocker kind of power pop songs, more like a Cheap Trick kind of deal. But this one's a little bit more bouncy and jangly and has more of a, maybe even a more of a British feel. And I'm really excited about it because it's a different kind of flavor for me. Just like the Sidewalk Ends is a little bit different for me because it's more disco even,
Yeah.
That's what I try to do to define myself. What I try to do to define myself as an artist is I try to not define myself. I try to go off in as many different genres as possible because I don't want to be limited to genre. I don't want to be stuck in a box, and I want to be able to do a song that goes in this direction or that direction, or even blends genres. And that's what I really love to do in songwriting, is blend genre, blend something that maybe a 60s influence blended with an 80s or 70s glam influence, because that's what I do. That's what I can hopefully do to be unique.
Right. No, I think you've accomplished that. Absolutely. So before we let you go and before we play that track, where's the best place for people to go online to keep up with all things Jonny Couch? Where should people go to keep up with everything you're doing?
Yeah, so great question. Number one, of course, is Instagram. And so that's Jonny Couch Music, but there's no H in Jonny. So it's JONNYCOUCH Music, Jonny Couch Music, and you're gonna find me right there on Instagram. And then there's of course my website, jonnycouch.com, has everything, and that has links to all my videos. There's also my YouTube channel, Jonny Couch YouTube channel, where you can see Where the Sidewalk Ends, the brand new amazing video.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, people should absolutely check it out. Jonny Couch, thank you so much, my friend. This has been wonderful. We're going to hit that track, so we'll let you go for now. But sounds like you got a lot of great stuff coming up, so I'm sure we will have you back in the future. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was a real pleasure, and I really enjoyed speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Same. Thanks, Jonny. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right, that was Jonny Couch. We did play at the top of the segment his newest single, Where the Sidewalk Ends, but let's play now the first single from the album, Where the Sidewalk Ends. This is really good, too. I like this a lot. This is called Overwhelmed.